Hey guys, tonight we are diving headfirst into a medieval world of dusty tomes, flickering candlelight, and the kind of magic that could either save your life or turn you into a particularly fetching newt. Imagine the scene. You're in a creaky old room, the air thick with the smell of aged parchment and maybe a hint of mildew. Delightful. Outside, the wind howls like a banshee, rattling the windows of your inherited cottage. You're probably going to trip over something in the dark, and you definitely won't survive this without spilling something on yourself. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always wild to think we're all sharing this moment from different corners of the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It all starts with a letter. A slightly singed, incredibly formal letter informing you of the passing of a great Aunt Mildred you never knew existed. Apparently, she was eccentric. Her belongings? Even more so. Among the bequests listed, one item stands out. To my dearest, your name, I bequeath my most prized possession, the Liber Incantamentum. Which, let's be honest, sounds way cooler than the Mildred's recipe book. A few weeks later, a heavily dented chest arrives at your doorstep, smelling faintly of lavender and something indefinably unsettling. Inside, nestled amongst moth-eaten velvet and a disturbingly lifelike collection of porcelain cats, lies the book. The Liber Incantamentum. It's heavy, bound in thick, dark leather, the cover embossed with strange symbols that seem to writhe in the flickering candlelight. The clasp is tarnished silver, shaped like a serpent biting its own tail, a classic Ouroboros, symbolizing eternity and renewal. Or, just a fancy snake. The pages are yellowed and brittle, filled with elegant script in a language you don't recognize. There are also bizarre diagrams, alchemical symbols, and illustrations of creatures that look like they escaped from a Hieronymus Bosch painting. It smells old. Like, really old. Historians still argue whether books of this era were actually used for practical magic or were more symbolic, but regardless, they were certainly status symbols. Books were expensive and rare, after all. You can feel the weight of centuries in your hands. Aunt Mildred, it seems, was not just eccentric, she was a practitioner of something more. And now, this weighty tome, this spellbook that whispers secrets of forgotten lore, is yours. You gingerly open the book, a shiver running down your spine. As you turn a page, a dried flower crumbles to dust, releasing a puff of something that makes you sneeze. Bless you! This thing is a hazard. You idly wonder what Aunt Mildred got up to with this book. Did she use it to summon spirits? Brew potions? Maybe just find the perfect parking spot? The possibilities, both mundane and terrifying, swirl in your mind. What you don't know is that this book isn't just an inheritance, it's a destiny waiting to unfold. And it's probably going to involve a lot more trouble than finding a decent latte. You spend the next few days poring over the Liber Incantamentum, feeling like Indiana Jones tackling the Rosetta Stone. The language is unfamiliar, a strange blend of Latin, Old English, and something else entirely, something that feels almost primal. You try various online translation tools, but they spit out gibberish. Clearly, Google Translate hasn't caught up with medieval witchcraft yet. But you're stubborn. You've always enjoyed a good puzzle. Plus, there's a nagging curiosity, a little voice in your head urging you to decipher the secrets within. Maybe Aunt Mildred left behind a treasure map. Or a spell to ward off telemarketers, now that asterisk would be useful. After hours of deciphering, cross-referencing, and a generous helping of caffeine, you stumble upon a recurring phrase. It appears near a diagram of a hand holding a flickering flame. The words, phonetically translated, sound something like lux digitorum accendo. You decide to give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? Besides summoning a demon, of course. You clear your throat, close your eyes, and whisper the phrase aloud, focusing on the image in the book. Lux digitorum accendo. Nothing. You open your eyes, feeling slightly ridiculous. Maybe Aunt Mildred was just a really dedicated LA-upper. But then, you notice it. A faint warmth radiating from your fingertips. You look down, and there it is, a tiny, flickering flame dancing above your index finger. It's small, barely bigger than a firefly, but undeniably there. A flame conjured from nothing. You gasp, a mixture of awe and terror washing over you. You have asterisk magic star. Real, actual magic. Just like in the movies, except you're pretty sure Gandalf never had to deal with student loan debt. You experiment with the flame, willing it to grow larger, smaller, brighter, dimmer. It responds to your thoughts, your emotions. You feel a connection to it, a sense of power that's both exhilarating and unsettling. It's like learning to ride a bike, but instead of scraped knees, you risk accidentally setting your eyebrows on fire. Don't worry, you won't, probably. The possibilities race through your mind. You could light your way in the dark. Impress your friends. Finally win that office staring contest. But then, a darker thought creeps in. What else can this book do? And what are the consequences of wielding such power? Medieval Europe was steeped in superstition and fear of the unknown. Magic was seen as a dangerous force, often associated with the devil. People accused of witchcraft faced horrific persecution, including torture and burning at the stake. Just saying. You probably need to keep this little flame of yours under wraps. You extinguish the flame, feeling a strange mix of disappointment and relief. The room seems darker now, the silence heavier. You close the Liber Incantamentum, the serpent clasp snapping shut with a finality that echoes in the stillness. The book is a Pandora's box, and you've just cracked it open. And now, the fun, and the danger, truly begins. The flame is your little secret, for now. You practice in the dead of night, honing your control, experimenting with different focuses. You discover that the flame responds to your emotions, anger makes it flare, fear makes it flicker, joy makes it dance. It's like having a tiny, fiery mood ring on your fingertip. But secrets, especially magical ones, have a way of getting out. You live in a small, tight-knit village where everyone knows everyone's business, and most of their laundry habits, too. So, it's no surprise when whispers start to circulate. At first, it's just sidelong glances and hushed conversations as you pass by the village square. Then, the whispers become more direct. Old Maggie, the village gossip, corners you at the market one morning. They say you've been dabbling in things best left alone, your name, she croaks, her eyes narrowed like a suspicious owl. Things that glow. You try to laugh it off, blaming it on a newfangled lantern you bought from a traveling merchant, but Maggie isn't buying it. She's seen things that would make your hair stand on end. She probably has. Then there's Thomas, the blacksmith. He's usually a jovial sort, always ready with a friendly clap on the back and a tale about his prize-winning pig. But lately, he's been avoiding you. And when you do catch his eye, there's a flicker of fear in his gaze. Fear, and something else. Resentment? The village priest, Father Michael, pays you a visit. He's a kind man, but his brow is furrowed with concern. I've heard rumors, your name, he says, his voice gentle but firm. Rumors of unnatural lights and strange occurrences around your cottage. I urge you to be careful, to avoid anything that might stray from the righteous path. You try to reassure him, telling him it's all just silly gossip, but you can see the doubt in his eyes. He's heard the stories too, tales of witches and warlocks, of dark magic and pacts with the devil. He probably believes them. The atmosphere in the village is changing. What was once a friendly, welcoming community now feels hostile. You're an outsider, a newcomer with a secret, and secrets are dangerous things in a place where everyone knows everything about everyone else. Historically, village life in medieval times revolved around the church and the local lord. Any deviation from the norm was met with suspicion and fear. Superstition was rampant, and accusations of witchcraft were a serious matter. You are now that deviation. You remember that crocodile dung sunscreen you read about in your ancient Egyptian history binge? No relation. At least that made sense. You wonder what Aunt Mildred would say. Probably something cryptic and unhelpful, like the flame attracts the moths, dearie. Thanks, Aunt Mildred. You realize you need to be more careful, to keep your powers hidden. But how long can you keep a secret in a village where even the stones have ears? The walls are closing in, the whispers growing louder. You're starting to feel like a character in a poorly written horror movie. But this is your life now, and you need to find a way to navigate this treacherous new reality. Just when you feel like you're about to be run out of town on a pitchfork, a glimmer of hope arrives in the form of a traveling apothecary. His name is Elias, and he's a wiry, weathered man with kind eyes and a bag full of strange herbs and even stranger stories. He pulls up to the village in a rickety cart drawn by a donkey that looks perpetually unimpressed. You first encounter Elias at the market. He's setting up his stall, displaying an array of dried plants, colorful powders, and curious concoctions in glass bottles. He catches your eye and gives you a knowing smile. Looking for something to cure what ails ya, friend, he asks, his voice raspy but warm. You're drawn to his stall, not for any ailment, but for something else. Something you can't quite explain. He radiates an aura of understanding. You feel like he knows more than he lets on. You casually browse his wares, asking about different herbs and their uses. He answers your questions with patience and knowledge, spouting off obscure facts about medieval herbalism that would make a botanist blush. As you're about to leave, he stops you. I've heard whispers, he says, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Whispers of lights that shouldn't be, of a certain book. Your heart pounds in your chest. He knows. You try to deny it, but he raises a hand, silencing you. Don't worry, I'm not here to judge, he says. I've seen things that would make you question reality. Let's just say I understand more than most. You agree to meet him later that night, away from the prying eyes of the village. Under the cloak of darkness, you tell him everything about Aunt Mildred, the Liber Incantamentum, the flame, the whispers. He listens intently, nodding occasionally, his eyes never leaving yours. When you're finished, he sighs. That book, it's powerful, he says. More powerful than you can imagine. It's been around for centuries, passed down through generations of practitioners. But it's also dangerous. The magic it contains is not always benevolent. He tells you about the book's history, about the witches and warlocks who wielded its power, about the terrible things they did with it. He warns you about the risks, about the price that magic often demands. The fringe tidbit: some believed that certain plants, like mandrake, screamed when uprooted and could drive you mad. Thankfully, Elias doesn't sell those. The Liber Incantamentum is not just a book of spells, he explains. It's a living thing. It has its own will, its own desires. And it will try to influence you, to guide you down a certain path. He advises you to be cautious, to learn as much as you can about the book before wielding its power too freely. He offers to help you, to teach you about the different spells and rituals, to guide you in your journey. He's not offering to be your personal Yoda, but he's close. You feel a surge of relief. You're not alone anymore. You have someone who understands, someone who can help you navigate this dangerous new world. But even with Elias's guidance, you know that the road ahead will be fraught with peril. The book's darker history is a weight on your shoulders, and the risks are becoming increasingly clear. Your training with Elias begins in earnest. He teaches you about the properties of different herbs, how to create simple potions, and how to protect yourself from negative energies. He's like a medieval survival guide, only instead of building a fire with 2 sticks, you're warding off evil spirits with sage and rosemary. You learn that magic isn't just about waving your hands and chanting spells, it's about understanding the natural world, about harnessing the energy that flows through all living things. It's about intention, focus, and respect. And probably wearing comfortable shoes, because apparently some rituals involve a lot of standing. But your newfound knowledge isn't enough to ward off the trouble that's brewing in the village. The whispers have intensified, and the fear and suspicion are palpable. People avoid you, cross themselves when you pass, and mutter prayers under their breath. You're starting to feel like a leper in a medieval morality play. One afternoon, as you're gathering herbs in the forest with Elias, you hear the clatter of hooves and the sound of approaching voices. You peek through the trees and see a group of armed men on horseback, led by a stern-faced knight in shining armor. Sir Reginald, the local lord's right-hand man. Sir Reginald is known for his piety, his unwavering loyalty, and his intolerance of anything that deviates from the norm. He's basically the medieval version of a small-town sheriff with a vendetta. He spots you and Elias and spurs his horse forward. In the name of the Lord, he booms, his voice echoing through the trees. I arrest you both for practicing witchcraft and consorting with dark forces. You and Elias exchange a look of panic. You knew this was coming, but you hoped you had more time. Elias steps forward, trying to reason with the knight. Sir Reginald, you misunderstand, he says. We are merely studying the healing properties of herbs. We mean no harm. But Sir Reginald isn't listening. He's made up his mind. Silence, sorcerer, he shouts. You will both come with me and face justice before the Lord. He's basically quoting every bad medieval movie ever made. You know that justice in this case means torture, interrogation, and probably a fiery death at the stake. You're not about to let that happen. You glance at Elias, who nods in understanding. It's time to run. You grab Elias's hand and sprint into the forest, the knight and his men hot on your heels. You know these woods like the back of your hand, thanks to your herb-gathering expeditions. You use every trick you know to evade your pursuers, scrambling over fallen logs, wading through streams, and hiding in thickets of thorny bushes. But the knight is relentless. He's determined to capture you and bring you to justice. You can hear the pounding of hooves getting closer, the shouts of the men echoing through the trees. You're running out of time. You reach a steep ravine, a natural barrier that might give you a moment's respite. You and Elias scramble down the embankment, hoping to find a way across. But as you reach the bottom, you realize you're trapped. The ravine is too deep to climb, and the night is closing in. You turn to Elias, your eyes filled with desperation. "What do we do?" you ask. He looks at you, his face grim. "We fight," he says. Trapped in the ravine, you and Elias prepare for a fight you're not sure you can win. So Reginald and his men arrive at the edge of the ravine, their faces grim. They dismount their horses and draw their swords, the steel glinting menacingly in the dappled sunlight. There's nowhere to run, So Reginald shouts, his voice dripping with contempt. "Surrender now, and I promise you a swift judgment." You highly doubt that. You glance at Elias. He's rummaging through his bag, pulling out a handful of herbs and muttering an incantation under his breath. He might be an apothecary, but he's clearly got a few tricks up his sleeve. "We will not surrender," you shout back, your voice trembling but firm. "We have done nothing wrong." So Reginald scoffs. "Lies. You practice dark magic, you consort with demons, and you threaten the good people of this village. You will pay for your crimes." He signals to his men, and they start to descend into the ravine, their swords raised. It's time to fight. Elias throws a handful of herbs into the air, creating a cloud of pungent smoke that momentarily obscures the vision of the approaching knights. You take advantage of the confusion and hurl a rock at one of the men, hitting him square in the face. He stumbles backward, clutching his nose. But there are too many of them. They're closing in, their swords flashing. You dodge and weave, trying to avoid their blows, but you know it's only a matter of time before you're overwhelmed. Suddenly, a voice rings out from the trees above. "Leave them be." Everyone stops and looks up. Standing on the edge of the ravine is a woman dressed in green, her face hidden by a hooded cloak. She's surrounded by a group of equally mysterious figures, their faces painted with strange symbols. They look like they've stepped out of a Celtic myth. So Reginald glares at the woman. "Who are you?" he demands. "And what business do you have interfering in the Lord's work?" The woman throws back her hood, revealing a face that's both beautiful and fierce. "We are the guardians of the forest," she says, her voice clear and strong. "And we do not allow harm to come to those who seek refuge within our woods." The guardians of the forest. You've heard stories about them, whispers of a hidden community that lives deep within the ancient woods, protecting the balance of nature and guarding ancient secrets. Most people dismissed them as folklore, but here they are, standing between you and certain death. So Reginald is clearly taken aback. He's heard the stories too, and he knows that the guardians are not to be trifled with. But he's not about to back down. "You are interfering with the law," he shouts. "These people are witches. They must be brought to justice." The woman smiles, a chillingly serene expression. "Justice is not always what it seems, knight," she says. "Sometimes the true evil lies not in those who wield magic, but in those who fear it." She raises her hand, and the guardians of the forest move forward, drawing their own weapons, bows, spears, and strangely shaped knives. They're outnumbered, but they're clearly skilled warriors. So Reginald hesitates, weighing his options. He knows he can't win against the guardians. With a final glare at you and Elias, he signals to his men, and they retreat from the ravine, mounting their horses and riding away. You and Elias are safe, for now. The guardians of the forest have saved you. But you know that this is only the beginning. You are now caught in a conflict that's much larger than yourself, a battle between those who fear magic and those who embrace it. And you're right in the middle of it. The guardians of the forest lead you and Elias to their hidden sanctuary, a secluded clearing deep within the ancient woods. It's a place of incredible beauty and tranquility, filled with towering trees, sparkling streams, and the soothing sounds of nature. It feels like stepping into another world, a world untouched by the fear and superstition of the village. The leader of the Guardians, whose name is Ilara, welcomes you with warmth and compassion. She explains that they've been watching you, that they know about the Liber Incantamentum and the power it holds. We believe you are destined for great things, your name, she says, her eyes filled with hope. But the path ahead will be fraught with danger. You must learn to control your powers, to master the magic within the book, or it will consume you. You and Elias agree to stay with the Guardians, to learn from them and to hone your skills. You spend your days studying ancient lore, practicing spells, and learning about the secrets of the forest. You feel like you're finally finding your place, a community where you can be yourself without fear of judgment or persecution. But the Liber Incantamentum is never far from your mind. You continue to study it, to decipher its secrets, but the more you learn, the more you realize how little you truly understand. The book is a labyrinth of knowledge, filled with hidden meanings and cryptic symbols. One night, as you're sitting by the fire, poring over the pages of the book, you hear a voice. It's not a voice you recognize, but it's clear and distinct, as if someone is speaking directly into your mind. Seek the Well of Souls, the voice whispers. There you will find the answers you seek. You jump in surprise, looking around to see who's speaking. But you're alone. Elias is asleep in his tent, and the Guardians are nowhere to be seen. Who's there, you ask, your voice trembling. I am the Liber Incantamentum, the voice replies. I am the book, and the book is me. You're stunned. The book is talking to you? That's unexpected, even for a magical spellbook. You're pretty sure that's not covered in any self-help guides. You can talk, you ask, feeling slightly ridiculous. I can communicate, the book replies. I have been waiting for you, your name. You are the one who can unlock my true potential. The book explains that it's not just a collection of spells and rituals, it's a sentient being, a repository of ancient knowledge and power. It's been waiting for centuries for someone worthy to wield its magic, and it believes that you are that person. It's a lot to take in. You're talking to a book. A talking book that claims to be a sentient being. You feel like you've stumbled into a fantasy novel, only you're the main character, and you have no idea what you're doing. The book urges you to seek the Well of Souls, a legendary place of immense power and ancient wisdom. It claims that the well holds the key to understanding the book's true purpose and unlocking your own magical potential. You're hesitant. The Well of Souls sounds dangerous, and you're not sure you trust the book. But you can't deny the pull, the sense of destiny that's been growing inside you since you first opened the Liber Incantamentum. You decide to trust the book, to follow its guidance. You know it's a risk, but you also know that you can't ignore the call. The Well of Souls awaits, and you must answer. You tell Ilara and Elias about the book's message, about the Well of Souls and its promise of unlocking your true potential. They listen intently, their expressions a mixture of concern and curiosity. Ilara warns you about the dangers of seeking such a place. The Well of Souls is not for the faint of heart, your name, she says. It is a place of immense power, guarded by ancient spirits and shrouded in mystery. Many have sought it, but few have returned. Elias agrees. The book may be leading you down a dangerous path, he cautions. We must be careful. We cannot blindly trust its guidance. Despite their concerns, they understand your need to follow your destiny. They agree to help you prepare for the journey, to equip you with the knowledge and skills you'll need to survive. Before you can seek the Well of Souls, however, the Guardians insist that you undergo a series of trials to prove your worth. These trials are designed to test your strength, your courage, and your wisdom. They are a rite of passage, a way to determine if you are truly ready to wield the power of the Liber Incantamentum. The first trial is the trial of strength. You must face a powerful beast, a monstrous bear that roams the deepest parts of the forest. You are not allowed to use magic, you must rely solely on your physical abilities and your cunning. You spend days tracking the bear, learning its habits, studying its movements. You set traps, create diversions, and prepare for the inevitable confrontation. When the moment finally comes, you are ready. You face the bear in a clearing, armed with nothing but a spear and your wits. The bear is massive, its claws like razors, its teeth like daggers. It charges at you, roaring with fury. You dodge its attack, thrusting your spear into its side. The bear roars in pain and turns to face you, its eyes filled with rage. It lunges at you again, swiping with its claws. You manage to avoid its attack, but the bear is relentless. It keeps coming, wearing you down with its brute force. You know you can't last much longer. Just when you think you're about to be defeated, you remember a lesson Elara taught you, to use your opponent's strength against them. You wait for the bear to charge again, and at the last moment, you step aside, causing it to stumble and lose its balance. You seize the opportunity and thrust your spear deep into the bear's heart. The beast lets out a final roar and collapses to the ground. You have passed the trial of strength. The second trial is the trial of courage. You must venture into a haunted cave, a place filled with restless spirits and terrifying illusions. You must confront your deepest fears and overcome the darkness within. The cave is cold and damp, filled with the echoes of tormented souls. Shadows dance on the walls, creating grotesque shapes and monstrous figures. You feel like you're in a haunted house designed by a particularly twisted interior decorator. As you venture deeper into the cave, you hear whispers, voices calling your name, taunting you with your insecurities and your failures. You try to ignore them, to focus on your goal, but the voices are persistent, growing louder and more menacing with each step. You reach a chamber filled with mirrors. As you look into them, you see distorted reflections of yourself, monstrous versions of your fears and doubts. They mock you, telling you that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that you're destined to fail. You realize that these are just illusions, manifestations of your own inner demons. You close your eyes, take a deep breath, and confront your fears. You tell yourself that you are strong, that you are capable, that you will overcome any obstacle. When you open your eyes again, the illusions are gone. The mirrors are clear, reflecting your own determined face. You have passed the trial of courage. The final trial is the trial of wisdom. You must answer a riddle posed by an ancient tree spirit, a being of immense knowledge and power. The spirit resides in the heart of the forest, and its wisdom is said to be the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. You travel to the center of the forest, guided by Elara and Elias. You arrive at a clearing where a massive, ancient tree stands, its branches reaching towards the sky like gnarled fingers. The tree is alive, its bark pulsing with energy, its leaves whispering secrets in the wind. Elara and Elias bow before the tree, paying their respects. You follow their example, feeling the immense power emanating from the ancient being. The tree spirit speaks, its voice deep and resonant, like the rumble of thunder. "Welcome, seeker of wisdom," it says. "I am the guardian of knowledge, and I hold the answers to the universe. But before I share my secrets, you must answer my riddle." You nod, bracing yourself for the challenge. "I am born of water, but I die in water," the tree spirit says. "What am I?" You ponder the riddle, racking your brain for the answer. You consider various possibilities: ice, salt, steam. But none of them seem quite right. You remember a lesson Elias taught you about the cyclical nature of life, about how everything is connected. You realize that the answer must be something that is both created and destroyed by water. "A bridge," you say, your voice trembling slightly. A bridge is born of water, as it spans a river or a lake, but it can also be destroyed by water, by floods or erosion. The tree spirit is silent for a moment, considering your answer. Then, it speaks again, its voice filled with approval. "You have answered correctly," it says. "You possess the wisdom to understand the secrets of the universe." Having completed the trials, the Liber Incantamentum guides you to a forgotten ritual site. Deep within the forest, hidden amongst ancient ruins and overgrown vegetation, lies a clearing bathed in an ethereal glow. This is a place where ancient rituals were once performed, a place where the veil between worlds is thin. The history books won't tell you this, but these sites were more common than you think. The Liber Incantamentum tells you to perform a specific ritual, a complex sequence of chants, gestures, and offerings. The ritual is designed to tap into the power of the site, to amplify your own magical abilities, and to unlock the book's hidden potential. It involves chanting, which you have to assume Aunt Mildred did a lot of alone in her house. You gather the necessary ingredients, following the book's instructions to the letter. You create a circle of stones, light candles, and prepare the offerings. Elara and Elias assist you, guiding you through the intricate steps of the ritual. As you begin to chant, you feel a surge of energy coursing through your veins. The air crackles with power, and the ground beneath your feet vibrates. You feel a connection to the ancient spirits of the forest, to the energy of the earth itself. The Liber Incantamentum glows with an inner light, its pages fluttering as if alive. The book seems to be drawing power from the ritual site, absorbing the energy and amplifying your own magical abilities. As the ritual reaches its climax, you feel a sense of overwhelming power, a feeling that you can do anything, that you can achieve anything. The Liber Incantamentum is now more than just a book, it's an extension of yourself, a conduit for your will. You have unlocked a new level of power, a new understanding of magic. But with this power comes a greater responsibility, a greater challenge. You must now decide how to use this power, how to wield the Liber Incantamentum for the good of the world. The possibilities are endless, but the choices are yours. Buoyed by your newfound power, you feel ready to face any challenge. But as you soon discover, even the strongest magic cannot protect you from betrayal. Among the guardians of the forest is a young woman named Lyra. She's been a close friend and ally, always eager to learn and always supportive of your journey. Or so you thought. One morning, you discover that Lyra is gone. She's taken with her a valuable artifact, a magical amulet that the Guardians have protected for centuries. The amulet is said to amplify the power of any spell, making it an invaluable tool for both good and evil. Ilara is devastated. She trusted Lyra, considered her a daughter. She can't understand why she would betray them. You, on the other hand, have a sinking feeling in your stomach. You suspect that Lyra's betrayal is connected to the Liber Incantamentum. You consult the book, asking it for guidance. The book confirms your suspicions. Lyra has been influenced by a dark force, a malevolent entity that seeks to control the power of the book for its own nefarious purposes. The book reveals that Lyra is planning to deliver the amulet to Sir Reginald, who is now working with this dark entity. Sir Reginald intends to use the amulet and the power of the Liber Incantamentum to conquer the region and impose his tyrannical rule. He's basically trying to become a medieval supervillain. You realize that you must stop Lyra and Sir Reginald before they can carry out their plan. You gather Ilara and Elias, and you set out to track them down. You follow Lyra's trail through the forest, using your newfound magical abilities to sense her presence. You discover that she's headed towards the village, towards Sir Reginald's fortress. As you approach the fortress, you see Lyra meeting with Sir Reginald. They're standing in the courtyard, surrounded by armed guards. You can see the amulet hanging around Lyra's neck, glowing with an eerie light. You confront Lyra, demanding to know why she has betrayed you. She refuses to answer, her eyes filled with a strange, unnatural light. Sir Reginald steps forward, a cruel smile on his face. "Welcome, witch," he says. "I've been expecting you." He reveals that he's been working with the dark entity for months, that he's been waiting for the opportunity to seize the power of the Liber Incantamentum. Lyra has been under his control all along, manipulated by the entity's dark magic. A historical aside, while organized crime as we know it didn't exist in the medieval period, powerful lords and knights often engaged in ruthless power struggles and alliances that resemble it. So Reginald orders his guards to attack. You, Ilara, and Elias are outnumbered, but you're not about to back down. You unleash your magic, summoning flames, creating shields, and conjuring illusions. Ilara and Elias fight alongside you, using their own skills and abilities to defend themselves. Despite your best efforts, the guards are relentless. They're closing in, their swords flashing. Lyra stands by Sir Reginald's side, watching the battle with cold, emotionless eyes. As you fight, you try to reach out to Lyra, to break the entity's control over her. You remember the times you shared, the bond you formed. You tell her that could be used to unlock the secrets of the universe and to empower future generations. She wasn't just trying to make a magical encyclopedia, she was trying to create a legacy. But Morgana also had a dark side. She was ambitious, ruthless, and willing to do whatever it took to achieve her goals. She delved into forbidden magic, experimented with dangerous rituals, and made pacts with dark entities. She sounds like a fun person to have at parties. In her quest for power, Morgana discovered a way to tap into the energy of a primordial force, a source of creation and destruction that existed before time itself. This force was incredibly powerful, but it was also chaotic and unpredictable. Morgana sought to control this force, to harness its energy for her own purposes. She created the Liber Incantamentum as a vessel to contain and channel this power. But the power was too great, too volatile. It corrupted Morgana, twisting her mind and turning her into a tyrannical sorceress. She used the Liber Incantamentum to enslave entire kingdoms, to unleash plagues and famines, and to plunge the world into darkness. Basically, she became the medieval version of a Bond villain. Eventually, Morgana was defeated by a group of brave heroes who used their own magic and courage to overcome her dark powers. They sealed the Liber Incantamentum away, hiding it from the world, hoping that it would never be used for evil again. But the book couldn't be destroyed. Its connection to the primordial force made it indestructible. It simply waited, slumbering for centuries, until it found a new wielder, you. The Liber Incantamentum reveals that the dark entity you fought alongside Sir Reginald was a fragment of Morgana's corrupted soul, a remnant of her evil that lingered within the book. This entity sought to regain control of the book, to unleash Morgana's dark magic upon the world once more. The book explains that the only way to truly defeat the darkness is to sever its connection to the primordial force, to destroy the source of its power. This can only be done by traveling to the Well of Souls, a legendary place where the veil between worlds is thin, and where the primordial force is most accessible. Remember when the book mentioned that earlier? You realize that your journey is far from over. You must seek out the Well of Souls, confront the source of the book's power, and make a choice that will determine the fate of the world. You prepare for the journey, gathering your allies and equipping yourself with the knowledge and skills you'll need to survive. You know that the path ahead will be dangerous, but you are determined to face whatever challenges lie ahead. You are no longer just a reluctant inheritor of a dusty old spellbook, you are a warrior, a protector, and a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. And you've only slightly singed your eyebrows in the process. The journey to the Well of Souls is long and arduous. You and your companions travel through treacherous landscapes, battling monstrous creatures and evading the watchful eyes of the dark entity's minions. It's less a scenic vacation and more a monster-filled obstacle course. As you travel, you delve deeper into the secrets of the Liber Incantamentum, learning more about Morgana, the primordial force, and the nature of magic itself. You discover that magic is not just about wielding power, it's about balance, about understanding the interconnectedness of all things. It's like learning the Force, but with fewer lightsabers and more pointy hats. The Liber Incantamentum presents you with a profound moral dilemma. At the Well of Souls, you will have the power to either embrace the book's immense power, becoming a force for either unimaginable good or devastating evil, or you can destroy the book, severing its connection to the primordial force and preventing it from ever being used for evil again. Embracing the power would allow you to reshape the world, to create a utopia where magic and technology coexist in harmony, where poverty and disease are eradicated, and where peace reigns supreme. You could become a benevolent ruler, a wise and just leader, guiding humanity towards a brighter future. But it would also mean risking corruption, succumbing to the temptation of absolute power, and potentially becoming a tyrant, just like Morgana. You would be walking a tightrope, constantly battling the darkness within yourself, struggling to maintain your integrity and your compassion. Destroying the book, on the other hand, would prevent it from ever being used for evil again. It would sever the connection to the primordial force, eliminating the threat of Morgana's return and ensuring that no one else could wield its power for nefarious purposes. But it would also mean sacrificing the potential for good, giving up the opportunity to use the book's magic to improve the world and to help those in need. You would be choosing to remain in a world filled with suffering, injustice, and inequality. The choice weighs heavily on you. You agonize over the decision, seeking advice from Elara and Elias, but they can offer no easy answers. They remind you that the choice is yours alone, and that you must follow your heart and your conscience. As you near the Well of Souls, you begin to experience strange visions and dreams. You see glimpses of the past, of Morgana's rise and fall, of the countless lives affected by her magic. You also see visions of the future, of the potential consequences of your choice. You see a world where you have embraced the book's power and become a benevolent ruler, leading humanity towards a golden age. But you also see a world where you have succumbed to corruption, becoming a tyrannical sorceress, plunging the world into darkness. The visions are unsettling, blurring the line between reality and illusion. You begin to question your own judgment, to doubt your ability to make the right choice. You realize that the decision is not just about the book's power, it's about your own character, about your own capacity for good and evil. You must confront your own inner demons, your own fears and insecurities, before you can make a choice that will determine the fate of the world. No pressure, right? Finally, you arrive at the Well of Souls. It is a breathtaking sight, a hidden oasis nestled in the heart of a desolate wasteland. A shimmering pool of water lies at the center, surrounded by ancient ruins and towering rock formations. The air crackles with energy, and the veil between worlds feels thin enough to touch. It's like a spa day designed by ancient gods with a penchant for drama. As you approach the well, you are confronted by the dark entity, the fragment of Morgana's corrupted soul that has been haunting you throughout your journey. It appears in the form of a shadowy figure, its eyes burning with malevolent energy. You cannot destroy the book, the entity hisses, its voice a chilling whisper that echoes through the air. Its power is mine, and I will not let you take it from me. The entity attacks, unleashing a torrent of dark magic that threatens to overwhelm you and your companions. You and your allies fight back, using all your skills and abilities to defend yourselves. Ilara summons the power of the forest, conjuring vines and roots to entangle the entity's minions. Elias creates protective barriers and healing remedies, shielding you from the entity's attacks. You confront the entity directly, wielding the Liber Incantamentum as a weapon. You channel the book's power, unleashing blasts of energy, creating illusions, and summoning elemental forces. The battle is fierce and desperate. The entity is powerful, drawing strength from the primordial force, but you are determined to resist its influence. You remember the lessons you have learned, the sacrifices you have made, and the people you are fighting to protect. You realize that the key to defeating the entity is not just about wielding power, it's about embracing your own inner strength, about believing in yourself, and about making a choice that is true to your heart. You make your decision. You choose to destroy the book, to sever its connection to the primordial force, and to prevent it from ever being used for evil again. You know it's a difficult choice, but you believe it's the right one. You raise the Liber Incantamentum above your head, chanting an ancient incantation. The book begins to glow with an intense light, its pages fluttering as if alive. The dark entity screams in agony, its shadowy form writhing in pain. It tries to stop you, but it is too late. With a final, deafening roar, the Liber Incantamentum shatters into a million pieces, its power dissipating into the air. The dark entity vanishes, its malevolent presence extinguished forever. The battle is over. The Well of Souls is silent once more. You have defeated the darkness, not by embracing its power, but by choosing to sacrifice it. The destruction of the book comes at a cost. You lose your magical abilities, your connection to the primordial force. You are now just an ordinary person, without any special powers or abilities. But you are not defeated. You have learned valuable lessons, forged strong bonds, and discovered your own inner strength. You know that you can face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, as long as you have the courage to believe in yourself and the compassion to care for others. And let's be honest, you're probably due for a long nap. In the aftermath of the final confrontation, the world seems quieter, calmer. The weight of the Liber Incantamentum, both literally and figuratively, is lifted from your shoulders. You are no longer burdened by the responsibility of wielding its immense power or the fear of its potential for corruption. You return to the village, a changed person. The villagers, once wary and suspicious, now greet you with warmth and gratitude. They have heard stories of your bravery, your selflessness, and your sacrifice. They hail you as a hero, a protector, and a symbol of hope. Maybe old Maggie will finally stop gossiping about you. You choose to remain in the village, to use your knowledge and experience to help others. You work alongside Ilara and Elias, teaching the villagers about the importance of balance, of respecting nature, and of embracing their own inner strength. You help to rebuild the community, to heal the wounds of the past, and to create a brighter future for everyone. You establish a school where children can learn about history, science, and the arts. You create a healing center where the sick and injured can receive care and compassion. You discover that you don't need magic to make a difference in the world. You can use your words, your actions, and your compassion to inspire others, to create positive change, and to make the world a better place. Lyra, freed from the dark entity's control, becomes a close friend and ally once more. She dedicates her life to helping others, using her knowledge of magic to heal the sick and to protect the innocent. Ilara and Elias continue to guide and support you, sharing their wisdom and their friendship. They become like family to you, and you cherish their presence in your life. Years pass, and the village flourishes. It becomes a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of community, of compassion, and of the human spirit. You grow old, surrounded by loved ones, knowing that you have made a positive impact on the world. You have lived a life of purpose, of meaning, and of love. As you lie on your deathbed, you reflect on your journey, on the challenges you have faced, and on the choices you have made. You realize that the true magic lies not in wielding power, but in embracing your own humanity, in connecting with others, and in making a difference in the world. And you didn't even have to wear a pointy hat. You close your eyes, taking a final breath, knowing that you have lived a life well lived. Your legacy will live on, inspiring future generations to embrace their own potential, to make their own choices, and to create their own magic. You drift off to sleep, a peaceful smile on your face, knowing that you have found your true purpose, and that you have finally found your place in the world. The story of the spellbook that kept rewriting your life has come to its peaceful end, leaving behind a world a little brighter, a little kinder, and a little more hopeful.